a lot of people during this time is really, really going through it right now, whether it be finances, whether it be lack of job, whether it be, um, just being in the house for so many months and just kind of trying to, get out their shell. I mean, I got a couple of friends that, still refuse to come outside and, really, get back into the groove of things, which is understandable. And I
Yeah.
know that's got to be really stressful. So hopefully today we can kind of lighten some people's lives about it.
Yeah, it is. It has been stressful. 'Cause in the beginning of this whole pandemic, I was still working, but I was working from home. So luckily I
Mhm.
still had my job. So I'm glad for that. But it was just like hard because people, just watching people going through everything and then applying for unemployment and getting the runaround. It's stressful itself.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's enough to make somebody's mental health go a little bit topsy turvy because you got people that like women, like one of my neighbors, she's got kids. She's got like I think like 3 kids, and she's still on unemployment, hasn't found anything, and that's been since March, since this started
Wow.
off.
Yeah, I know. Also another thing about that, I found I was going through it too. For like a couple of weeks because everybody wasn't getting their unemployment. But
Mm.
I took solace in. I was on Facebook one day, and it's this chat on Facebook called I think it's Maryland Unemployment Do It Yourself DIY.
Hmm.
And it's just a group of people that you know going through the same stuff and letting you know about their experiences and giving any tips to help people to get in. So for like 3 or 4 weeks, I wasn't getting into nobody either, and I was getting stressed out. And I prayed on it, and then I was just scrolling through Facebook, and I just seen somebody else, spread the word, and so join the group, and it really provided me, solace. Like I'm not the only one. It's not only in my community, but across the state that's dealing with that, and also you know other people got tips, so is willing to help and giving you different numbers and what to do if this situation happens. So honestly, I was able to help other people with that. So shout out to them people with that page on Facebook too.
Right. All right. So I just got one. I have a question. Well,
Yes.
one of my friends asked me, "What is the biggest stigma behind Black people and mental illness?"
For me, I would just say we don't like the doctors, period. And to actually say I don't need to go to a regular doctor, I need to go to a special doctor. Because for me, like psychiatrist, you admitting that there's something, you're not saying that you're crazy, but you know that there's something not right up there, that you need extra help to talk to. And a lot of times for black people, asking for help is difficult. Then you talking about asking for professional help from a doctor. And then, the stigma. No, I'm not about to sit there and pay nobody to tell me about my life and stuff like that. But honestly, I mean, it does help to talk to your family members. But it is some really good psychiatrists out there, and I think it do benefit a lot of people.
Yeah, I kind of felt on the same boat with you. As far as like me and the whole stigma behind Black people and mental health is being afraid to ask,
Mhm.
because us being of what we are, our Black culture, we grow. I feel like a lot of us grow up to be independent, and you handle stuff on your own, and you get it done. You work, get it
Right,
done. But when it comes to the extra help, it's a lot of pride,
right,
and a lot of people don't want to say, "Oh, I need your help," and seeking out a second opinion. Like honestly, I started going to therapy maybe about 2.5 months ago after my mom had passed back in April. So it's been helpful for me. But the thing with me is just like I'll say to like certain people how I'm feeling and what, oh, go to God, pray to Jesus. But sometimes that's not always the case, and you need that little boost, just a second unbiased opinion. Because even though God knows my heart and He hears what I'm saying and knows and hears my prayers, but it's
hmm
I don't just then it's good to have like a second opinion. Not really a second opinion, but another person to talk to that you won't be worried about being judged. It's unbiased. It's between you, even though what you say is between you and God, it's between you and whoever your person you're talking to.
right.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's just like I feel like we got to get out of that mindset of like pride and we can do this, because it's like because everybody needs a little push.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And what's crazy is statistics show that like in Baltimore City, 1 in 5 adults suffer from, mental illness. And if you think about that, on your block, if you live on a block with 10 people, you know what I mean, that's 2 people right there on your block. And then that's just not even talking about how many people they got in the household. But
Right.
the biggest thing for me is like healthcare. Like how many of us actually have healthcare? You know what I'm saying? That actually seek that, because I know a lot of people, is on, Medicare or
That,
Medicaid, stuff like that, and some of them services not always provided.
mm,
So, um, one of the things, I used to work at Amazon, and one of the things that I do commend Amazon. I don't bash Amazon as one of the worst jobs in the world. It does have its perks. It has its downfalls too, but that's a topic for another day. But
mm-hmm.
it did provide services for people with mental health uh, issues. It provided an outlet, and that was included in your insurance, which you came in at Amazon.
Yes.
So I think that goes into the jobs too. Depends on your demographics that you have at your job. If you're providing healthcare, for 80% of the black people, maybe you should slide something in there to where they can have a hotline to call or something like that. And
Right.
then hate to say it, but black people here is free, then they more inclined to go look for, wait, free health. Like my school does free legal services and stuff like that, right? To help teach you, educate you on stuff like that. And a lot of people go to that.
Hmm.
A lot of people are involved in that, whereas they wouldn't be involved if they said, you gotta pay $5 per class.
Right. But then it's like other things like outside of healthcare. There's places that you can, like other places that you can go, like groups and stuff, that even though some insurance doesn't really cover it, but there's like groups and stuff people can go to. And there's this place called Roberta's House somewhere.
Yeah, I heard of it.
It's in Baltimore. And I went there once years ago with one of my cousins when her husband had passed away. And it was a big place. It's a nice sized place, and it's they have counselors there to help you, show you different ways how to grieve, and show you different pathways of how to what is that word? It's right on the tip of my tongue. We'll show you ways to grieve, and then give you tools to help you get through whatever it is you're going through.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they have like certain things for kids, like activities for kids, and they have like knitting classes and stuff like that. It was just a lot of different things. I don't know what's going on now because it's been so long. But Roberta was a really nice place to go that I went to one
Yeah,
time.
and um, later on down the line in the show is a list. I think I can leave a list for the
Mm-hmm.
people out there, of mental health services throughout Baltimore. But the question I have for you is, uh, the people that are aware that they have issues, and you know that have that stigma of, I'm scared to go to the doctor, I'm scared to talk to somebody. What do you say to the people that are, struggling, and actually are really trying? And because I know a couple of people that take 2 or 3 different type of medicines a day, but they're still struggling. Um, what do we have to say for them people?
The only thing I can say, just going by, because I was in the same boat. I didn't want to at first because it's like, uh, labeled as crazy, but you're
Right,
not.
right.
And my thing is that is just taking a leap of faith. So I just took a leap of faith, and I did it. I just did it.
Right. And um my aunt, not gonna say what aunt, but she's been dealing with it, she's one of the best people. I call her my psychiatrist, because I am, one of the people that used to think that, I wasn't paying nobody to tell me about my life and stuff like that. But
Right.
he's really helped me really get an understanding of mental health and how it's really a struggle every single day. But people, for me to deal with, mental health on a day-to-day basis and come out better on it, are really, really good people. at heart, they just need just a little bit of help. There's nothing wrong with them.
And that's the thing. It really isn't. It isn't anything wrong, but it's just the judgment from others, and then that puts them back to a shell, and then they try to reach out again just to go for help, and then oh, you're labeled. Oh, you're crazy. You're on this medication and that medication, but it's not for any. Isn't really nobody's business whether or not they need help or not. That's between them and who. That's between them and whoever they choose to get the help from.
Right.
It's just so
Yeah, I
much. It's
think.
too much he say. It's like too much. Not say he say she say, but it's just a big. It's a big headache because it makes mental. I feel like it makes mental health a little bit worse. Go to somebody really doesn't know much, and they step up like and actually trying to open up to you and tell you what's wrong, and they get shot.
Yeah. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I've been guilty of that in the past. It's I have dated some girls that have had, dealt with, various mental issues, and in the beginning, I try to say that I understand. I try to get an understanding, but when you're actually in it, you don't really understand. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we make it worse by calling them crazy and saying, "Oh, girl, this and that," and you don't realize the effect that it's having on them because you can't walk a mile in their shoes. So I
No.
think it's really a struggle for people that don't deal with it too. That maybe dating partners that struggle with it. I mean, it takes a very strong individual to have to deal with that too.
Right. So, do you feel since this whole pandemic has happened, well, not saying how do you feel, like how do you cope?
Um, I have my moments. Like
Mm-hmm.
I tell people all the time, I'm like a week to week guy.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning, like for the first couple months, I was really into my Bible. Really, reading, trying to get an understanding. Then I did a little bit of meditating. But then, the madness started. Driving in. So take walks, and then my son, it's the summertime. We can't really go nowhere. Six Flags is closed, and the stuff we really did. So I mean, it's been a struggle. I'm just getting back into exercising. But the biggest thing I found during the whole pandemic is laughter. I've been watching, a lot of, Comedy Central and, a lot of Netflix stuff. That's one thing. Shout out to Netflix. Shout out to Netflix. Definitely have been keeping me going. Shout out to Amazon Prime. You can always find something good in there. Um, definitely, definitely laughter is always the greatest medicine. And I feel like that's the greatest medicine for anybody in any situation, whether you have a mental illness or not, whether you're down, you're sad. Go find something that makes you laugh.
Right.
You can sit there and watch it for about an hour and a half, and you don't need to smoke or you don't need to drink. Just laughter, I think, really cures a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. I feel it too. Laughter is good. Like for me, it's being around family. And one thing that we picked up like board games. I wasn't never really big on board, but
Yeah.
like when you get the right group of people around you, it
Mhm.
actually up to be fun. Like we play Family Feud, this game called Speak Out, where you put like this thing in your mouth that holds your mouth open and you try to say all these
Yeah.
words. And
Yeah.
the person that's trying to listen to you trying to make out what you say. It's funny.
Yeah.
Fun
I got
and
a bunch of
kind of
board games too.
process.
The thing about board games is we now in the 2020s, and it just doesn't work for us no more. Like I know we're around the same age. It was so fun. I mean, we really, I don't know about you, but I know Connect Four,
Yeah,
what's that? The Bop It. I just bought my son the new Bop It. We playing the Bop It.
I love that.
Um, what's it? Trouble. Um,
Mm,
Monopoly. That's the stuff we used to pass time, but now it's just like you're in 2020. You got TV, you got your phone, you got your tablet. Eventually, the nostalgia wears off, and you're like, man, we just played 10 games of Monopoly. I'm ready. I'm ready to watch some TV or something.
right. And plus, why getting family together and stuff like that, watching movies, just laughter, is good medicine. I will definitely say that.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, what? It's just I don't even really know. It's just this pandemic just really threw everything for a complete loop.
yeah, and but I also seen a lot of like so. One of my members of my church, Sister Brittany. Shout out to Sister Brittany. I'm ready to give you a shout out. If you watching somewhere, she quit her job and started her own daycare. And yep, yep. And I know a lot of stories I've been watching online. So from anybody that took the time out to really work on their self and really build their self empire and really realize that, I mean, you think about it, for months at a time, the whole world stopped still, but we were still able to live. We may not have lived the life that we were living before COVID, but we were still able to live. Now
Right.
you take that opportunity, you make something with it, and I think that goes back to mental health. Like if you're really in a dark place that time during when we was locked down, you might have went a little bit darker. But if you were one of them people that was really pushing forward, take that opportunity to really find yourself, and really build on yourself and really find out what you like to do.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, I quit my job at Amazon right before the pandemic, and I had time to sit and reflect on it and decide what I really wanted to do next. Still haven't figured that out yet, but it was a decision I don't think I would have made if I didn't have that time to just sit and self reflect.
Yeah. It definitely gives you time to sit back and think about what it is you really want to do with your life and actually put the skills that you have to use.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you do a lot of stuff, computers and like graphic designs and stuff, right?
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like I had not touched any of it in 10 years. Like I got my whole certificate. I had not touched any of it in 10 years, and then like in April, I was like, I'm gonna get back into it. So like, I'm really trying to. I haven't done my best work yet, but I've been really working at it. So it's something that again I would have never gotten into if I didn't have that time to sit and self reflect. Like, hey, if I really start to hone my skills like it was again, I can actually make this a career.
Yeah,
I'd make that a work from home job.
yeah, and think about it. It's a good confidence booster too. Like that funk you were in during COVID, practicing your skills, working on your skills. Whenever this mess is over, you come out strong, stronger than ever. And who knows,
Right,
all those skills that you possessed, well, you've not possessed over time, that you've gotten built up over time, that could land you your dream job right there.
right. So um, I think with mental health too, I think reading helps a lot of people too. Like there's a lot of literature I think that's available out there that I
Yeah, it
think
is.
like I always read like what is it MD Med Health, MD Health, the
MD
website.
Health.
Yep, 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 yep. So like my son has ADHD. That. I mean, that's kind of squeezed in the term of mental health. They
Mm,
kind of all try to put it in the fishbowl together. But
yeah.
they have a lot of good resources to really kind of like help me deal with it because it still is a struggle.
So, what are ways that you do? How do you deal with your son, especially with everything going on with virtual schooling and he's not being able to go to school and be around people? So, what are ways that you do that? How you handle your son?
Um, so on the days that I have him, we split the week. Um, I just try to instill in him, the things that I think most parents would, if you actually are, and this is no uh, back talk or to down any parents, but if you actually are involved in your child's life
Mm-hmm.
and your child's schooling life, you understand that if your child is one of them kids, when they come home from school, you kind of have to decompress and get them back in order because some of the kids that they talking to and conversing with in school they may not be on board with what you're necessarily teaching at home. And so during this time, I really kind of put an emphasis on what I want him to focus on as far as schooling. You know what I'm saying? Without the influence of little kids and other stuff. So I've kind of had that one-on-one time to say, all right, I can sit and look and see how he's doing this test or how he's doing this quiz, and I can point out some things that maybe can help. And then as far as like I take him up my sister's house so he can still have, interactions with children his age. And
Right.
I just try to do, little things, we exercise together and stuff like that. Things that he would get while he was in school.
Mm-hmm.
Um he still gets on my nerves all the time.
That's
But
typical.
yeah, and then it's really kind of hard to understand sometimes too his outbursts because they are ADHD related, and my son sees a psychiatrist, and that's a big thing. My son's been seeing a psychiatrist for like the last 3 or 4 years. He's only 10,
Mm,
but talking with his mother, that was a big stigma. Like, man, do we really want our son, talking to somebody? But it has really helped him in his development because sometimes kids, go through stuff in life that traumatizes them, and you want to catch it early,
right.
you know. And another thing that 20% of the children in Baltimore City, ages 13 to 18, are going to develop some type of mental illness in their adolescence. And I think it's really big for the parents to not only, like discover that, or kind of be there to help their child go through it because another thing is a lot of mental illnesses happen. They call it child traumatizing activities, CTAs,
Mm-hmm.
and something that has happened to them where they had. It says the statistics say whether they had 6 or more occurrences. By the time they're adolescents, they develop some sort of mental disorder from those traumas. So whether it's uh, you know, dad not being there, mom not being there, switching different schools or something like that, or anything even more serious. So I really think it really has to be big on the parents to be there for their children, and again, not call them crazy and not think they're crazy, and really, hear their children out.
Right. So, since you're a parent, I want to ask
Uh
you, how does your and you deal with mental health yourself, right?
huh. Everybody. So people say that I'm crazy. I don't think I'm crazy, but I do. I tell people this. I think that living in the world that we live in today, you would be.
Mm-hmm.
There's something wrong with you if you're not off. The stuff that we see on a day-to-day basis, dealing with our president, dealing with our community, dealing with what we see in other worlds. If
Mm-hmm.
you don't think this is crazy, like, then I think there's really something wrong with you. You know what I'm saying? If you just walking down the street and think, oh, COVID is a hoax, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and you think that's just okay, like it just flies past you, like I think there's really something wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say I might maybe that much a smidget be a little crazy, but I don't take any medicine or anything for it. So, but to your question,
Okay. So, as far as mental health and parenting, I'm trying to figure out the words to put it in. So, mental health, like dealing with mental health and parenting, do you feel like there is a huge stigma as far as like parents dealing with mental health and having their children that have mental
oh
health issues too?
man, so um yeah, I really do think that parents that have, mental health issues, I
Mm-hmm.
would just like for them to just, it would behoove them to, make sure that they're straight before they want to bring another child into the world. Because working in the school system and being a volunteer for the last 3 years, I've seen some things. And I've seen some things that I don't have to be a psychiatrist to know
Mm-hmm.
that parent may or may not have all their marbles, and it does no justice to the kid at all to bring the child into the world. And when I do have my little zap out moments on Teron and my son, I do you think about that? Like, I don't want to zap out on him so much to where I create one of them CTAs, one of them, one of them
Mm,
child traumatizing activities. You know what I'm saying?
right.
So it is difficult because I have to. It's sometimes hard to acknowledge that my son, yes, he is normal. Yes, he does have ADHD, and you know, he may not look at the world as different, the same way. He may not be able to answer a problem the same way I want him to answer it. So it takes a little bit
Hmm.
longer. It's a little bit frustrating because as a parent, I was just telling him that today, I just want you to succeed, you know?
Right.
And I would say it really is hard. And I know for my aunt, um, my cousin deals with um mental health. And
Hmm.
it's a struggle for him. I mean, a lot of people may not realize, but you got that crazy uncle, you got that crazy aunt, what they actually dealing with, what they actually had to deal with when they were younger, you know.
Yeah, because I went to my aunt's house today actually when I got off of work because she was finishing up like little bit of work here and there. So she's got four kids. One's away in college. Well, she's a 25-year-old. He he does his own thing. He lives on his own. An 18-year-old, she's away in college in Norfolk. An 8-year-old and a 2.5-year-old. So
Okay.
the the age gap is crazy. So I just see her like multitasking, doing her work, making sure my cousin, well, the 8-year old's doing her work, and then trying to have academic time with the 2-year old. It's hard. Like I see her doing it. I don't know how, but it's amazing.
Mm,
Not once skipping a beat, and not once like flipping out on them, getting frustrated with them, because kids feed off parents' emotions. So if you're already
yeah.
irritated, which makes the whole situation even worse. So it just doesn't help. So she's just calm as ever, but I just see her with the two youngest ones, and it's just like, oh my goodness, I don't know how you do it. I just can't. Shouts out to these parents.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to the parents as always. The parents that are in their lives and be able to. I mean, I know, I know a lady that works at my school, Miss Hayes. Shout out to Miss Hayes. I think Miss Hayes got 6 kids, and she's doing her thing with them kids. They had a lady on the news the other day. She had like 6 or 7 kids. And she had them all lined up, distance learning, and in the basement. I really, the biggest thing though, I really wish parents that really, really wanted to could get paid to stay at home and teach their children. Because
I was thinking the same thing
like
because parenting, 365 job. Oh
it's
my
a three
goodness.
sixty five job, and majority of parents we go to work for what our children.
Eight 8 to
Because
10
at the
hours.
end of the day, if we didn't have kids, our lives would be very simple. We can go on vacation, we just sit at home. But when we got parents, when we got kids, we got to make, especially coming up these next couple months. I mean, you got Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. So we definitely got a lot to deal with, man.
Mm-mm-mm. It's a whole lot to deal with. Oh my goodness. And it's just like that. And this has really had put me in a place where I just had to like sit and think of what my next move going to be. I thank God I got a job. I thank God I have a roof over my head. But it's just so much like emotionally going on with me that I'm dealing with. It's a lot. Me if I
Yeah,
and I know if I threw a kid into that, it wouldn't help. At least with me, it wouldn't.
right. I'm glad you realized that. I'm
Yeah,
glad a lot of people, just want to have babies and think it'll fix the problem. But
no, it doesn't.
um we've seen some situations where it didn't turn out the
No.
best for that child or that parent.
And then thinking about the aftermath of it, like even if I were to have a kid and it's like postpartum depression, like what about that?
Yeah, I know the mother of my child went through that really bad. Um really bad as she had my son. I was scared. So
Yeah.
my son for a while. But get through it. The biggest thing is having a support system, whether that be, sometimes your significant other can be that support system, but sometimes they can't handle that. And I think, people that deal with mental illnesses, you gotta have someone that's gonna be there. Multiple people, not just one person. Multiple people you lean on. I call it flavors. You need to be able to get different flavors and different opinions from people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely. A support system. Yeah, a good support system will definitely help, especially with people dealing with mental illness, because it's like they have that person that they can lean on for help if need be.
Right. So I said I was gonna put up a list. So I think I'm gonna choose four. Um, for the people out there that's listening, um, if you are dealing with mental health and you don't have a spot to go to, or you don't are afraid, or you don't know, some of these clinics right here, the Mental Health Treatment Center of Baltimore, um, they have an 800 number, 615-3564. Um, definitely provide mental health services in the city of Baltimore. Behavioral Health System, Baltimore, located on 100 South Charles Street. Their number is 410-637-1900. We have Transformational Health. That is on 312 Martin Luther King Boulevard, Suite 300. And their number is 443-759-9592. And all of these are located on Google. So if I'm talking too fast, I need to work on putting up prompts. Like we call it the big screen. I'll be watching one of my favorite TV shows is Speak for Yourself.
Right.
It's a sports show. Shout out to y'all guys on Fox. Um, they have big screens that show statistics and to show highlights and stuff like that. So I'm gonna work on that. I'm gonna work on that, the graphics, so we can just go to the big screen and show all this stuff up so people can actually look at it physically. Because some people, hearing it, you know it's hard for them to write it down, but if they can physically see it and hear it.
Yeah. Once we get our own little StreamYard thing going, we're gonna keep it pushing. But in the meantime, we're just gonna do what we do. So on that note, I want to thank everybody who's listening. Jerrell, thank you for imp- all those amazing tips and all those hotline numbers that you gave out. So hopefully this will help somebody in the long run. And do you mind closing us out in prayer?
Uh, Not too good with that. We gonna work on that. We're gonna work on that. But I will do it because you let us in with prayer. Okay. All right. You ready?
Yes.
All right. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today to thank you for a wonderful show. We thank you for helping us attain the words and the knowledge that we needed to succeed today. We hope that we reach someone out there, even if it's one person, that they can help get themselves on the road to recovery and help get themselves on the road to a better life. And I just also thank you for this wonderful opportunity to be able to reach out to people. And I hope that the more we do it, the better we get at it, and the more people we reach. And in the Lord's names we pray. Amen.
Amen. So that wasn't that bad.
Listen, you don't know how many people in my church tell me I should be a preacher, but like I just choose not to. Like so many people think that I have this gift of gab. Like you can't tell, but I'm nervous as heck right now. I've been nervous the
I
whole entire time. But
can feel,
like when the lights come on, something in me just flows. I don't know what it is,
yeah.
but I be nervous.
I get like that the same way, nervous and shaky. Like I don't want to do it, but I know once I get through it, I'm good.
Yeah. So if I always had somebody to lead me in, I'd be all right. I don't know how I'd be.
Yeah, I'm not too good with the whole prayer thing either. I need a little work, but I'm making it work in the meantime.
Yes. All right. So it was nice talking to you, Shanda.
You
Good
too,
night,
bro.
Baltimore.
Good night, Be More Real Show, all my viewers. Hopefully, we
Yeah.
tune into the next show and we'll keep it moving.
Yes.
But in the
All right.
meantime, everybody who's listening, we're going to get through this. We're in this together. Us at the Be More Real show, we love you. Jordan, we're keeping you lifted up in prayer. We
Definitely keeping you in prayer, Jordan. And last thing, real quick, register to vote, please.
yeah,
We got a month left. Register to vote now.
make that voice heard. Good night, everybody.
All right, good night.